Well set? Everybody ready? Okay, I'm Lieutenant Costantino from the Elyria Police Department. To my right is Chief Whiteley. To my left is Sheriff Stamiti. And to his left is Chief Deputy Kavanaugh. We're here to give you some more information regarding the incident from the other night at 375 Stable. Please refer to the drawing that I handed out. That's going to be kind of important to give a little synopsis of what happened and how the deputies set up their perimeter on the call. I have the deputies numbered in accordance with their numbers on the bottom, give you the deputy's name, and the number, the corresponding number on top is where they were set up in regards to the perimeter. Is that pretty self-explanatory? Anybody have any questions related to that? Okay. Number 1 and 2 are deputies Fuller and Van Sant. They were in a small ditch with some high grass cover. They both were armed with AR-15s. They were approximately 210 feet west of the residence, being 275 Stable. And as I said, they were in a kind of a little ditch with some grass cover. Sergeant Kubak, who was overseeing the incident, was in his patrol car facing the house a distance away. 2 other deputies were across the street behind cover. Deputy Croshaw was behind a shed in the rear of 376 Stable. Deputies observed Travis Stidman exit the rear of his residence several times and walk towards a shed in his backyard. At this time, deputies noted that Travis Stidman was armed with a handgun, later found to be a .40 caliber semi-automatic. Due to Travis Stidman's activity in and out of the residence and the fact that he was armed, Sergeant Kubak decided to light up the residence with his headlights and spotlight due to the extreme darkness in the area. It was very, very dark out there. Once this occurred, Mr. Stidman immediately exited the rear of his residence and began firing. He fired 1 shot in the direction of the spotlight of where Sergeant Kubak was at. As he ran to the northeast, he immediately encountered Deputy Croshaw, and he immediately fired 2 rounds in the direction of Deputy Croshaw. Deputy Croshaw was able to fire 2 rounds back. He was armed with a shotgun. At that time, as soon as Deputy Croshaw was getting ready to fire a 3rd round, he was shot on the left side rib cage area. The bullet penetrated his vest, and he was immediately went down on the ground. It was later determined during the course of the investigation that this bullet came from the west. It appeared to be that of a .223 round. In interviewing the deputies on scene, it was determined that Deputy Fuller was the only deputy on scene who fired any .223 rounds during the incident. Deputy Fuller was armed with an AR-15. The investigation revealed, based on the path of the bullet, the penetration of the vest, and the bullet fragmentation, that the gunshot wound sustained by Deputy Croshaw was a result of friendly fire. Okay, any type of additional questions related to the investigation, myself or Chief Whiteley will handle. Any questions related to the officers or any type of training will be the sheriff or chief deputy will answer those. So we open it up to questions now.
Is this an uncommon occurrence, or happened in the heat of battle?
It was very dark. It was extremely dark out there, and obviously it was a tragic accident. Unfortunately, when Travis Stidman exited the residence and began firing on the deputies, it left them no choice but to respond.
When you say it penetrated the vest, it went into an opening, or did it actually go through the vest?
Went through the vest.
How unusual is that?
For that type of round, it's not unusual at all. That's basically what it's designed.
So what happens now with Deputy Fuller?
Well, what we're going to do is the investigation is still pending. There's still some things that need to be worked out. Sergeant Smith and his team of detectives have been working very hard and diligently on this since the incident. And once everything's done, they'll package it up, and the county prosecutor will review it.
In regards to training, I mean, obviously you want to set up a perimeter around a situation like this, I mean, but what, do you take into account the possibility of shots might be fired, or walk me through what the thinking would be, or somebody?
Well, the difficulty is there's a lot of things that can happen that aren't expected. And like Lieutenant Constantino said, the extreme darkness greatly contributed to this all happening the way it did. What also happened is when he bolted from the back of the house in a run, no matter how much of an angle you put on, if he runs straight out, sooner or later you're going to be right across from each other. And that's unfortunately what happened with this one. As he bolted from the house while he was firing, he shot at the deputies, they returned fire, and got caught up in it.
And one addition to that too, because of the individual coming out that was armed, he came in and out of the residence several times, so the actual perimeter locations had changed. And once that changed, and then all of a sudden the individual bolted from the house firing, that certainly changed the situation, okay? And he ran right through the darkness where it was very hard. Some of you guys were out there that night. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. And that was part of the situation too that occurred. So.
What kind of gun was it? I'm sorry.
AR-15, which is designed for the distance they were at. So it was in terms of tactical, they had the right weapon.
Did only Deputy Fuller and Deputy Crosoff fire, or did other officers fire weapons?
Those were the only two that fired their weapons.
You mentioned this was going to go to the prosecutor. Why is that?
It's common for any kind of shooting incident to be reviewed by the prosecutor. We turn them all over like that.
On Monday night, was it believed that Stidman had been the one that shot the...
From our point, we weren't sure what happened.
Okay.
We'll go into an investigation with an open mind and, see where it takes you.
When did you make that determination that he had indeed been shot by friendly fire? When was that discovered, I guess?
Well, we talked to Sergeant Smith, and obviously, there's talking to the medical personnel. There's looking at, X-rays, looking at the vest, and you never want to, as the chief said, you never want to get tunnel vision when you do an investigation, and you always want to look at all avenues. So the detectives, like I said, their hard work is what brought this end result.
When was Deputy Fuller alerted that he had fired the shot that injured Deputy Crosoff?
Well, I think there was probably some speculation at that point that was a possibility. I don't think anyone wants to believe that, but being that it came from the west, that was certainly a possibility. But obviously, at that point in time, the investigation didn't reveal that for a fact, and we deal with facts, not speculation.
Have you had a chance to talk to him? How's he dealing with the fact that it's not a comfortable feeling, I'm sure?
Yeah, Captain Drozdowski right now is speaking with him, so we did speak with Deputy Crosow also, so he's aware of it too.
And what was his reaction to that?
He understands it. He just says, hey, he understands how dark it was out there that night, and that, you see the muzzle blast sometimes, and, you're trying to protect yourself. And, it's an unfortunate accident. Still doesn't negate the fact that Mr. Stidman came out of the house fired at the deputy. That doesn't change any of that. The result ended up in our officer shooting too.
Have you ever had a friendly fire incident at the sheriff's office that you're aware of?
Not to my knowledge.
Have you guys ever had a friendly fire incident?
Not that I'm aware of.
So they were following all the proper training, all their protocols for this kind of call?
Yes, and like the chief said, the perimeter changed a couple of times. With this guy coming out, they were actually behind that shed at one time at his house, then they moved back to that culvert, like the lieutenant said, and so with this guy's movement, the perimeter changed.
You said it was 210 feet from where Deputy Fuller was to where Deputy Crosow was?
From where the house.
It was around that area,
Around the house?
yeah.
So it would have been another 20, 30 feet beyond the house then?
Could have been.
Yeah.
It was in that area.
Has Fuller been with the department for a long time?
He's been there approximately 7.5 years. He did get laid off for a year in 2009, but
Now, he was placed on a 3-day leave, which is standard procedure when this sort of thing happens, when a weapon is fired. Will he remain on leave an additional amount of time, or will he return to work after that 3 days has passed?
no, we're going to leave him on leave, and obviously, we're going to have him talk to somebody. I mean, this obviously is affecting him. It affects everybody, when something like that happens. But, you got it on your mind now that you've shot one of your own officers. It's an accident, but still, it's going to play on his mind, and we understand that part of it, so we are going to get him some counseling.
Is leave with pay?
Pardon?
Is leave with pay?
Yes, it would be.
Now, could he face disciplinary action internally?
He could, but from everything that I've understand so far, I would say no, it's an accident.
And obviously, you're having a review by the prosecutor's office. That raises the possibility there could be criminal charges.
I don't see that. It's just standard for us to take that there. They review a lot of our cases as it is. But I personally don't see any criminal coming out of this.
How many times did Fuller fire?
We're estimating 3. That could change. We're still actively looking at that,
It's at least 3.
at least 3.
Is that done for semi-auto or auto fire?
Somewhere.
Semi-auto.
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 Right.
So that takes, how many come out at a time?
One.
Or just one? And Deputy Croza fired twice,
Twice of, buckshot.
and he didn't hit him at all?
No.
Okay. And then Stidham fired once at Kubek and twice at Croza?
That's what appears to be right. Fired it initially when he
It's
came out.
3 times
yeah.
at Crosaw.
3 times.
Right. Right.
How many rounds were left in his gun when you guys examined it?
9,
9?
8 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber. And then he shot himself once.
So that...
After he was done shooting at Crosaw, there was 1 more expended that we know of.
He fired, so he basically fired 4 that you know of, 9 total, so that makes it, what, a 13-round clip?
I'm not sure if it's, they come in 12
I
and
believe that was
15.
14 round. And
14 round.
Possibly one in the whole, one chamber.
What is an AR-15 like? Is it like an M16, or is it, I mean...
It's all the
what
same
level?
caliber ammunition.
Okay.
As far as the rest of the investigation goes, has there been any more that's come up about Stidman's state of mind, or, is the autopsy report back?
No, it takes a long time for the autopsy
Okay.
report to come back.
Okay.
When we're still investigating any past history.
Have you found the cat and the dog?
No,
Any evidence of it whatsoever?
No.
no. We know that they're not there anymore, but we don't know where they are.
Stidham's family been notified that this is what happened, that the deputy said by friendly fire?
I don't know.
Have you guys had contact with Stidham's family?
Yes, Sergeant
Yeah, I have
Tepers.
not, but
Yeah.
How long does an investigation like this take to complete? When can we expect kind of final results?
Remember, we're still waiting for the autopsy results of toxicology, 4 to 6 weeks, just wrapping everything up. I mean, it could take some time for all the final results to come in.
And so the bullet traveled, when it hit him, it went through the vest, it exited through the shoulder?
didn't exit.
The next,
Didn't exit.
yeah,
Wasn't
just
a-
fragmented, broke apart.
Fragmented.
Yeah.
So then reports that it was a through and through injury are incorrect.
Be incorrect.
But he was only hit once.
Yes.
Mhm. Correct.
Is that what an AR-15 round typically does, break apart?
We don't like to get into specifics for the safety of our officers out there, or what rounds do and what they don't do. So,
This one did break up.
yeah.
Now, did you guys use, I guess, trajectories and things of that nature? Are you still putting that together, or?
Yeah, we're still working on all that.
Is there dash cam video of this?
No.
Not that we're aware of, yeah.
No, the cars would have been blocked by the street. Everybody, they were in the street, would have been blocked by the house. Plus, you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you. So that would be worthless. You see a black wall.
There were no lights on at Stidham's house during this incident?
You know, I don't know if there were lights on inside or not, but outside it did not illuminate at all. Any more questions?
You mentioned this before I came in, I'm sorry, but how is Deputy Crossaw doing?
He was released today.
I know that.
That's all I know.
We spoke with him today, him and his wife, and he's in very good spirits, and he's actually doing very well. He's still in some pain, and obviously he's still going to have a ways to go here, but he's doing okay.
I'm sorry, can I get you to say that again, but I want to slide your microphones down, or at least mine.
Which one's yours?
You guys want your microphones?
Yeah,
down?
please.
Okay, yeah, just slide them on down.
My wife says I talk pretty loud, I don't know.
Did I ask before about the training part?
Let me ask a question first, Bruce. Yeah, we spoke with him today, Chief Kavanaugh and myself went to the house. He just got released early afternoon. He's doing well. He's in good spirits. Like I say, obviously, he's still in some pain, and he's going to have a way to go, but he's actually doing pretty good.
And with the mic in front of you again, his reaction to the news that it was friendly fire.
Yeah, he, you know, obviously, he understands that those things happen in our line of work, and you know, nobody's glad it happened, and nobody wants these things to happen, but you know, like Lieutenant said and the Chief, that, you know, when you got a running suspect coming out, those things can happen.
And again, his time frame for recovery? Have you heard about that?
I really don't know that, no.
You talked about the officer that mistakenly shot him, receiving counseling and different things. What are you going to do with the officer? Is he coming right back to work, or is he going to have some time off, and what's going to be his little routine?
Yeah, he's still going to be on leave. We're going to keep him on leave, and like I say, we're going to get him to some counselor. And obviously, you know, get him talking to somebody.
And why would you do that?
Well, you know, if you shoot anybody, obviously that's not a good thing. And, you know, another officer shoots another officer, he's going to have, you know, some bad feelings. You know, I've been a policeman 38 years myself, and you hope that nightmare never happens. You don't want to shoot any citizens, you don't want to shoot one of your own officers. So obviously when that happens, you're going to have some issues going on in your mind.
And has either one of the officers been shot before?
No, neither one, not to my knowledge. I've been there 26 years, and it hasn't happened since I've been there.
If it was clear at the time while the incident was going on that Deputy Crossaw had been hit by Deputy Fuller, would you have pursued Stidham any differently, or would it have been the same kind of procedure?
That would have been the same procedure, absolutely. You had an armed suspect that already fired on officers, and he's running a neighborhood, and we had civilians that were coming out of the residence. So it was kind of intertwined with the responding units as well as the citizens there, trying to get them safe, trying to pursue the suspect, try to locate him. We had 6 different reports that night that he tried to make entry in certain locations. We tried to confirm whether those were true or not, and at the same time try to contain him. So it was kind of a confusing scene situation, and very difficult to try to manage. But everyone that responded out there was fantastic, and we can't say enough about Cleveland Police Department's helicopter. Without them, this could have been worse, and somebody else could have been hurt out there. But their arrival on the scene and using their equipment brought this to a successful conclusion for us. So no one else got hurt.
Yep. And obviously, he tried to shoot an officer, fired at him 3 times,
Right,
just because he happened to miss him.
Oh, yeah, understandable.
Right.
You guys are still looking into whether or not he did attempt to gain access. Was there anything found?
You know, nothing official yet. You know, I've heard people say that. It was in Facebook that people were saying that he was trying to get in, but we don't have anything concrete yet.
Nothing with it being in the barn at one point or anything?
Nothing yet. And I don't know if that'll pan out to be true or not.
What was Deputy Fuller's role in the search for Stidham? What was Deputy Fuller's role in the search for Stidham? I mean, I know some deputies stayed to help Deputy Crosaw, I mean, was he actually out in the field pursuing him?
No, he was still on perimeter at the house and close to the command post. That was on stable court. He was pretty close to myself.
Was that done intentionally at the time because there
Well,
was suspicions of this? or-
No, what we had is a suspect that was still loose with a firearm, and we were trying to prevent any double backs to that residence and to some family residents in the area. So that's what we were using caution. So we still had to maintain the perimeter there.
Right, 'cause his stepfather lived in that area, so, we have to figure he might be doubling back to get to his house. So you got to look at that whole situation.
Did you guys have any dealings with Stidham's stepfather during this incident?
There was some contact with the first units there in the scene. To what all that conversation was, I'm not sure. Okay.
You mentioned the boat broke apart, but you know if they were able to get everything out, or does he still have fragments remaining?
He still has fragments remaining. Nothing's been taken out of him. Yep.
Is it going to be?
To my knowledge, talking to him, no.
I don't know if I missed it, does he expect to make a return to work then?
Yes.
Is that it?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.